We are reviewing this race video today. You can't see the title up here in the corner, but what we are going to be watching is an old race, a criterium called Elmhurst Criterium. It's part of the Intelligentsia race series. Has been for a long time. It's been really, really awesome. Thank you, EM, for following. It's been a part of the series for a really long time. This is from 2015 when I was a Cat 4. So a pretty long time ago. I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to comment and draw on the screen and just basically talk about how bad I raced this race. Hey Chris, how's it going? So let's start and take a look. So I'll make some comments as we get going here. I have also muted the video itself so that you guys don't have to listen to my real old cringy commentary. But right away here, I had a pretty decent start, but if you take a look, you see all these guys are on the same team here, and right away that should be a signal that they're just going to try and rip it from the start. So I should be aware of that as I'm racing, and be on those wheels. So pretty decent first corner, and I do right there. That's a good move because those guys, these are juniors from Canada, and there's 3 of them right here on me, and then 2 or 3 up the road there already. Not a huge gap there, but enough where if these 2 riders don't do anything, I'm not going to be able to bridge that without a huge effort. So I come straight around them here, and this is a good move. It's really early in the race, but also if I can just sit on these guys and their teammates let them go, then great. I should have already been up there because at this point what I'm doing is towing the rest of the field up with me. And you can see as soon as this guy knows I'm here, he just kind of sits up. Lots of brake there. I don't know in this case if that's this rider's fault or my fault, but one of my criticisms throughout this entire video is going to be how much I break through these 2 corners in particular. I started watching it a little bit earlier and it was pretty bad. So again, this guy not really putting effort in, so I tried and jump around him. It's a pretty good effort here, 900 watts. Again, braking, no reason I needed to break through that corner. I have so much room on the outside. And I should be trying to get to this corner as fast as, or through that corner as fast as possible. Really, alright, so this guy, Dane, right here, for those of you that are Chicago or Chicago area natives, this is Dane Murphy, back when he was also a Cat 4. We were Cat 4s at the same time. Pretty cool. He's so strong. This year he just like tore up Intelligentsia, Tour Galena when it was still around. He was ripping through the Cat 4s, and he comes around, and right here I should get on his wheel and just sit and let him tow me up to those 2 riders up the road. So let's see what happens. Kind of. This is a huge gap. I really need to be on his wheel already. Oh, I remember this. Cool, Chris. I did some VO2 work this morning. It was VO2 work. I totally remember this. So as we come through this corner, let's slow this down. As we come through this corner, I have no idea. I still don't. No idea what happens here. But this dude, like, kind of alters his line and then he comes up, right? Like, for what reason are you running just straight parallel into the curb and falling over? I have no idea how that happened, but it does, and the rest of us just keep riding here, and we're doing a pretty good pace here, 400 watts. But again, I'm like, there is so much space here. This is like at least 2, if not 3 wheels worth of space that I should be up. Like, I should be up Dane's ass right now as far as drafting goes, and I'm not. And there's no reason for it. So here I finally get in the draft, finally. But again, I'm dropping the wheel. Like, I need to be up in there. Like, I would be doing probably 300 watts instead of that 390 that I was doing. Decent corner here. Again, this is when they had just repaved this course. It was so smooth and so fast. It was awesome. It's still pretty decent pavement, but obviously Illinois winters are not exactly the most gentle on the roads. So Dane pulls off here. I'm just going to let this dude sit on the front and do some work because they have a whole team here. And there's no reason for me to put in any sort of effort. So, kind of a weird corner that this guy takes here. He kind of dips in and then realizes real quick that, like, oh, I went way too far in. And he adjusts. And again, man, dragging that brake. Look at this. Brake, 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 brake. Finally off. There's no reason I should have had the brake on that much. I could have come around him and saved myself a ton of effort. So, again, ripping through here. Pretty good speed. Almost 30 miles an hour. Not a lot of power here. At this point, if I'm on the front and I should either be trying to create separation or I should be sitting up and letting people come by me. But I come through this corner, brake more, like that's so much brake through the corner. No need to brake here either, and I do. And just step on it again. Again, I wouldn't have to step on it that hard if I was not braking. Let's see if I brake through here. All right, we made it through a corner without touching the brakes, finally. I'm still on the front. Pretty good efforts here. This guy comes around me. I think that's Wojcik. I'm not sure. If I'm on the front that long and I'm putting in an effort, it should be a hard enough effort where I'm splitting the field. And it wasn't. So I really shouldn't have been on the front. So in the group here, let me listen real quick. Okay, so Dane and a Callisto rider, this team, the Canadian Juniors team, are right up here. Let's see, right here. So they're right there. Huge gap back to the field. And I'm out in the wind again. So if I'm out in the wind, I should either be trying to get in front here to just take my line through the corner, or I should be drafting. There's no reason for me to be out like this. And so, if I remember correctly, they stay away the entire race just because Dane is a monster. That's just how he is. He's a super fast racer. And so, I, again, have no reason to do what I'm doing here. Let's keep watching. Obviously, the Callisto rider is not going to want to reel his teammate back in. More brakes through the corner. Here, again, I'm grabbing brake, and like all this room here to run out wide, and I have no reason to be on the brakes. I think this is Kenan, and the couple hints that tell me is his cadence is real fast when he should probably shift down a gear to pedal harder. And then also, if you're real careful and you look here, no socks. So that's a pretty big clue that it's Kenan, because Kenan is a triathlete who used to race crits. I don't think he's raced a crit in probably 4 or 5 years, since this year, since 2015, right? So no socks there. Definitely a triathlete move. Okay, no brakes again through that corner. Pretty comfortable here. But if you look, right, there's a gap here between this next rider and Kenan, so we have to put in some pretty powerful efforts. And Kenan moves up, and I'm on his wheel, which is a good move. I should be, again, closer because it's just a free toe up the field. And so you can see there's there's 2 guys up the road, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. So right now I'm in, what is that, 8th position. Another Callisto rider comes by way faster, and I should have got on that wheel right away. So my commentary says, this is me trying to get the group organized to chase down the breakaway while I'm sitting in the wind at 419 watts at 188 beats per minute. Not really that smart. Obviously, the Callisto guys are not going to listen. They're not going to put in any sort of effort to try and chase their teammates down. What I should have done there is attack. If I want to chase the breakdown, I have 2 options. I can attack and try and get up to the break and bridge, or I can pull through, pull at a decent pace, and then as I pull off, get others involved. There should be no reason I'm in the wind there trying to get other people involved. I should do that while sitting in the draft and saving my energy. Did I brake there? Let's look. A little bit. Again, no real use for the brakes there. I don't really have an excuse for it. I used to brake a ton through the corners. Thankfully, I've gotten much better about it. Not perfect. Sometimes I brake out of hesitation for whatever reason, but it's not like this anymore. So Callisto rider here tries to go off the front. At this point, if I'm on the front, I should either be jumping on that wheel or pulling off and letting the group do it. I think this is Marson. It is. Yeah, it totally is. Chris, you know him. Yeah, I mean, he was pretty strong then, too, right? Like, look at that dude. You look at that dude's legs, and there's no way you're like, oh, yeah, he's just an average Cat 4. He's a really strong rider, still. So, on the front, pushing the pace, my commentary says, at a whole 250 watts. That's not pushing the pace. I should be going a lot harder, or I should be trying to rotate through with the group. So, decent line through the corner. Trying to rotate through, it looks like. Should be moving up a lot faster, or should be on the wheel here. So I have a teammate that pulls through instead, and I'm still not on this wheel. This gap should not exist. I should be on his wheel. I don't know what the hell any of those, the lines that all three of us just took through that corner were not great, to say the least. So Marston's is okay. He's out wide and he comes in. Okay, Marston's is okay. Dom's or Kennan's, whoever this is, I'm not sure who this was. Decent, but obviously if he continues on his path, he's going to run pretty wide. And so he alters it, right? So he's still going diagonal and then turns in, and then I'm on his outside, so I get pushed. Yeah, it's not great. You can see my heart rate here is pretty high. I have a pretty high heart rate to begin with. 188, 190 is kind of my whole race heart rate, but above that is I'm starting to hurt. So this is the last lap, according to my commentary, and I can see a couple things. Over here, there's a whole lot of space that I could be taking up. Over here, there's a whole lot of space I could be taking up. Even here, there's some room, and I'm not. I am on this wheel, which is good. I could be a little bit closer, but it's not a terrible spot to be in. Obviously, with this being the last lap, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, probably 10, at least 10 riders in front of me. That's really, really, really far back for the last lap. Yes, we are on kind of the finishing straight, but I should probably be like 5th, 6th wheel maybe, depending on how fast we're going and how hard the group is going. Yeah, I'm way far, like much further than 10th wheel. So that was not a bad line, but again, slamming on the brakes. Here, I'm really far out. I could be here, and what that line would do then would allow me to kind of zoom up in this gap once we straighten out, right? I would have carried speed here and I would have gone right into that gap. But instead I just run wide and end up having to do, 600, 700 watt effort. So obviously I know that I need to move up here. I'm putting in the efforts to move up. But then here I stop. Not in a draft. I should be up on the wheel here. I should be forcing my way up. So tons of brake there. Part of that's because I'm so far back. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So at least 15, if not more. So more brakes here. If I didn't break through that second corner, if I go, look at that, right there, and watch, it stays open too. Like, what? Look at all that space, man. I should be up in that gap. But instead, again, I don't, and I have to sprint, right? I have to put in a decent sprint effort. So it didn't look like any brakes there. I'm kind of on Dominic's wheel, but in kind of classic beginner fashion, we're sprinting 2 corners before we're even close to the finish. I see Dom or Kenan, whoever this is here. I think my video says Dominic Cozy, an old teammate of mine. But I see him start to go, and I'm like, okay, that's decent. Another guy that I used to race with, Brian, not sure if he races anymore. kind of pushes me out, and I hop back in. Still pretty far back. So there's like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So like 11th wheel, and like 200 BPM, doing 700, 800 watt efforts. This is not where I want to be. Brian starts to move up here, and okay, so my commentary says this rider here, who I can't identify, used to ride for Wheelman or is riding still for Wheelman. Who knows? This is from 2015. So this rider bumps me as he starts to move up, which he's got plenty of space. I've got plenty of space. Whatever. It's not a big deal. And so there, this is an interesting spot. So my original commentary says like, oh, I get pinched in, which my wheel is probably here, right? And so I can't really move out, but look at all this. Like, this rider to my left has given me some room. So if I really wanted to, I could probably get up onto my teammate's wheel here, but I don't, obviously, because that would be the right thing to do. And so I swing out wide. I end up coming around this other rider. Now, cool, this is not a terrible move if I'm just going to sprint for the last corner. So we're probably 200, 300, maybe a little bit more meters out from the last corner. And so if I'm going to make an effort here, I can come around, right? That's a terrible line. I can come around here, use this draft here to get up to the front of the group, because the front of the group is here. And so if I can get to that spot, I'm in a pretty good position. I can take the last corner how I want, and then I just have to kind of hold on up that last hill. And let's see what happens. So I do stand up, but I come even further out wide. If I'd have stayed behind this wheelman rider, I would have had a little bit more draft to kind of maybe hop wheels. Instead, I don't, and my effort was pretty short here. We'll talk about that in a minute. So we're so far back from the corner here, right? And let's watch. So I start braking here. That's a problem. And it's like, here's some space, right? I could even get on my teammate's wheel here. Like, it's so bad. There's no reason, like, there's so much room that I could have used here, but instead I start braking. Again, I can't really give you a reason why. Still braking, let go, brake, 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 brake. Still tons of space there. So brake through the corner, and then if you've ever done this race, everyone rips it out of this corner. So it's not a bad idea to sit on a wheel and then jump halfway up the climb. But in order to do that, you have to be ready for it. And I'm too far back. I braked through the corner entirely, so I lost a ton of momentum, and my heart rate's through the roof because of all the efforts that I've had to make, right? And so what we're going to see here is exactly the cause of those symptoms. So I put in a pretty big sprint effort, and my commentary says, here's where I stand up. And look at, like, sprinting, come out of the corner, come off the wheels, into the wind. This guy pushes me out a little bit, which, like, whatever. I'm doing so much wrong anyway, that's pretty irrelevant. But you could fit a semi-truck in this space. That's so much space. I should have never been out that far trying to sprint. I should have never been that far back in the first place, but sprinting from that far back with no draft isn't going to really get you anywhere, no matter how much power you put down. Like you can see I never really changed my sprint position, aside from riders either coming around me or dying. And like that's it. That's the end of the race, right? So lots of mistakes were made. I would say my biggest 3 takeaways is 1, my braking. So much braking before the corner and through the corner. Don't need to be doing that. 2, so much space left out between me and the riders in front of me. There's no reason for me to be that far from the wheels. I should not be doing that. Thankfully, I've improved a lot on that as well. It's something that comes with time. If you look at a lot of newer racers' footage, you'll see that oftentimes a lot of them are just giving a lot of space because they're uncomfortable, which is understandable. The fear of crashing is a real fear, and being afraid of crashing is totally understandable, but it's also something that you have to understand is going to happen at some point in your racing career. And so racing properly and racing predictably and not just being so far off the wheel is something that you learn is much more valuable than just staying this far back. Because if you're this far back all the time, you're never going to enjoy racing because you're always going to be dying. So I went back and pulled up this race on Training Peaks. You can see my heart rate is pretty consistent throughout the whole race, right? But if you notice here, beginning of the race, pretty low spikes, right? 500, 400, still hard, but lower. This is pretty consistent with just like race effort. But if you look at the end here, right, the last, let's see, the race was 38 minutes, okay? This is my last sprint. So let's go here. Let's do this, because this looks, let's find the last lap. All right, so that's the last lap here. We'll do this because it's out of the last corner. So this is the last lap. Average power, 310. Okay, pretty reasonable. Max power, a paltry 1085. I can do that on a rest day nowadays. But if you look, right, spike out of the corner. No pedaling. Spike out of the corner. No pedaling. Spike out of the corner. 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 Like, that's not a way to have anything left for a sprint at the end of the race. If you're just consistently and constantly smashing it, you're not going to have anything left for the end of the race. You have to make sure when you're racing that you're conserving as much energy as possible between drafting, cornering efficiently, and using your power when it's helpful. If you don't use your power when you need to, and you just use it all willy-nilly, you're going to die pretty quickly. You're not going to have a lot of energy left to be able to race the rest of the race.